Hi everybody, we got week 13 Defy Aging to review, and I'm Coach Allison back to go through that with you. This week we have two small circuits. Each of them is going to have 4 exercises in each one, and depending on the size of your group, you might be running them simultaneously, so with people in each one, or you might run one at a time, again, depending on the size of your group in your session. But you're going to run through each circuit for 3 rounds before you switch to the other circuit. Doesn't matter which one you do first. There's no right or wrong order there. And each round is going to be timed a little bit differently. Round 1 is going to be kind of on the longer side. So round 1 is 45 seconds on, 35 seconds off. Round 2 is 35 seconds on, 25 seconds off. And then round 3 is going to be kind of short and sweet, 25 seconds on and 20 seconds off. So yeah, and I don't remember if I already said 4 exercises in each circuit. So total of 8 exercises for the week. Let's run through what those are. Okay, circuit 1, the first exercise is a bottoms up, kettlebell bottoms up goblet carry, long name. So most of you are familiar with a lot of our variations of carries, right? Farmer's carry, racked carry, overhead carry. So this is yet another variation of a carry. So we have our kettlebell, and we're gonna hold it bottoms up. So we start with it like this kind of grip and bring it up here. This is the bottom up. So we keep it at chest height, but we don't want it like glued to the chest. So don't be relying on your chest to support it. So don't have it be touching your chest. So just have it, see how there's a little space there? But we also don't want it way out here because we don't want to be straining our front shoulder, our anterior delt muscles. So a little bit away from the chest, but at chest height. That's where we keep it. Don't be shrugging your shoulders. Also, don't be relying on shrugging the shoulders to hold this weight. So keep your shoulders down, kind of down and back like this. We want a nice tall posture. We want to make sure we're not kind of slouching and slumping while we're holding this. So check your posture, and if it's doing this, take a little mental check and be like, oh, shoulders down and back, chest up. So that was all just to get started. My arms and shoulders are already feeling this. And then your coach will have a designated route for this, and we're gonna go just into a carry. Okay, so wherever that route is for this, yeah. But that is our kettlebell bottoms up goblet carry. Seated dumbbell curls is our next station. It's exactly what it sounds like. You're gonna be seated on a bench or a box. But the tricky thing here is you have to be really seated towards the edge of the box, because if you're all the way back on it, like you would probably sit on a normal chair, like with the edge right at your knees, you can't bring your arms all the way down with the weights. So you do have to be seated right towards the edge. Like my butt is almost falling off the edge, and that allows you to bring your arms all the way down with the weights, see? And we're gonna alternate curls. There we go. Allow the arm to come all the way down, so we're not like kind of stopping it short, right? Notice how I have the palm turned in at the bottom, right here, see, in, and then I'm rotating the palm up towards me at the top of the curl. Okay, that's the kind of curl that we're gonna do. And that's just more comfortable because holding it out like this at the bottom to leave room for the dumbbell to not hit your legs is kind of awkward to like have to hold the weight out. I'm just gonna turn to the side here for a moment so you can get a visual of how close to the edge I have to sit. Sitting up nice and tall, so we're not slouching or slumping. Okay, and again, turning the palm in towards the body at the bottom, and then rotating the palm as you curl it up. We're not doing any like excessive. We're not picking a weight that's so heavy that we have to kind of thrust the body like this to curl it up. So nice controlled movements there. There is a way to progress this to make it more of a challenge using a stability ball. So I'll show you that next here. If you feel like you're at the level where you want to try a progression, a more advanced movement, we're gonna try a stability ball. The hard part is holding the weights in your hand and getting on the ball though. You might want to put the weights on the floor in front of you, then sit on the ball, and then pick them up. It might be the safest way to do it. But you can use a stability ball instead of a bench. And that just adds, it's a little more awkward because you're going to be on a squishy surface, but that adds some more stability challenge, right? So now I'm having to engage my legs to support myself a little more and engage my core also for the support. So that's an option. So, oh my goodness, I'm always surprised at what my hair is doing. Bench or stability ball, your choice. Next station is, we don't need any equipment for this one, lateral jump squat. So many of our longtime participants are familiar with jump squats, right? So we just are looking for a little bit of a lift off the ground. So now we're gonna add a little bit of a lateral component, sideways component. And we're not looking for anything crazy. So we're looking for just a small, I mean, unless you want to take it to that advanced level, that progression, and do a big far jump. But really, we're just like, there's a hole in the, there's a dent in the floor right here. So I'm going to shift over. We're just looking for maybe a small shift to the side. So if you can maybe get your body to move 1 or 2 inches over, that would be perfect. So we start with, get your body ready with some squats, maybe 1 or 2 jumps, but we're looking for just a little bit over at a time. Whatever space your coach has designated for this, maybe you can do 1, 2, or 3 to one direction and then come back the other way, or just left and right consistently. But you see how it didn't go very far, just looking for a little distance. The key here though is to try to get both of your feet to move at the same time, and we're not bringing the feet together. And I'll show you what I mean by that. We're not doing this. See how I clicked my feet together? We're trying to not do that. And that's a lot of agility and footwork to kind of get your feet, because you have to use those muscles in your feet, ankles, calves, those springy muscles to jump up and move over all at the same time without needing the use of like a shuffle type of movement where you're using momentum with your feet to kind of shift over, if that makes sense. So we're going to give this a try. Again, whatever space your coach has set up, just do as many as you can in one direction. Now, what's important is that you land nice and soft into the next squat. I'll do a couple from the side, maybe if that helps. So notice how when I land, I'm going right down to the next squat. I'm not landing with like stiff, straight legs and kind of stopping like this, because that's a lot of jarring on the legs and the knees and the back. So when you land, it's important that you're bending your knees right away, going right down into that next squat. Now, anyone who is avoiding impact altogether for any sort of possible restriction you might have there, we're going to do a side-to-side squat. So we're going to start with our feet together. Going to step to one side, do a squat, step in, step to the other side. So that way we're still getting this lateral component that we want with this station. I want whatever option you're doing here to have some sort of lateral component for the hips. So from the side, stepping one way, step in, step the other way. And then of course you're still getting the squat. Okay, all right. That is our lateral jump squat. Okay, W Superman lift is the next one. And this is only referring to the position of our arms. There's so many Superman variations out there. So this one, we're going to pull the arms back into what looks like a W shape. As you can see, I'm kind of making a W shape here. And then we're going to keep that position and do our Superman lift. So I'm still lifting my lower body and my upper body. I'm trying to get as much of my torso and my legs off the floor as possible. I'm just keeping this W shape with my arms and not just holding there, but really tucking back. So I'm tucking my elbows back constantly, like I'm trying to tuck my elbows back into my spine. Anyone staying off of the floor, we're going to have incline benches that are set to about 45 degrees. I just checked and there's none available for me to use at this facility. They're all being used by gym members right now. So coaches will 100% know how to set this up and what I'm referring to. But you're reclined forward on an incline bench and you can do the same movement with your body. So you're standing, your feet are on the floor, but you're just kind of leaning forward on a bench. So that's an alternative. If that's not an option at your gym, what we do have as another option is what's called a high pull with a band hooked up over racks, and I'll show you what that looks like. Now this is the high pull. The band has to be hooked up very, very high for us to have the same sort of effect on the upper back as that W Superman. I will give this a little disclaimer that I prefer everyone do that incline bench alternative if you're unable to get to the floor, because you're still going to be getting like this kind of torso lift that is going to get the mid and lower back that you're not going to get with the band. The band it's only going to get the upper back. So, but if there's no incline benches available at your gym, or something isn't agreeing with you with that variety, this is going to be the next best alternative, and it's still going to get, half of the muscle group that we want. So the band has to be up at the highest possible point that your coach can find in the gym for this to do the same function. Palms down, and we pull. You might want to stagger your stance so you have a little more sturdy stance. Pull the elbows back like so, and want the elbows to be coming out really wide. I'm going to turn to the front in a moment to show you that. But almost like a face pull, if anyone remembers the face pull exercise. It's like a combination face pull and pull down. But it's called a high pull because we're coming up from so high. And from the front, your elbows are coming out really wide like this, and you're squeezing everything in that high upper back right in the middle, like this. So that's going to be the second alternative. But again, incline bench is going to be the first best alternative. And the first one was that floor W Superman. So lots of options here. Okay, the second circuit. First station is a banded tricep pushdown. We do this one relatively often, occasionally, I guess. Targets those triceps, backs of the arms there. Okay, I like to stagger my stance whenever I do a tricep pushdown. You can choose to stand with your feet parallel. It's really preference. I think parallel gives you more opportunity to have poor form. I think staggered is better to get more sturdy. But that's just me. That's just my preference. So I'm going to stagger my stance. Palms are facing away from you, so like facing outward. So if you want to think of it like your fingernails are facing the wall in front of you. Okay, tall posture, shoulders down. We're not going to shrug here at all. And we press those arms down and back. Notice how my upper arm is staying glued to my side. So I'm not allowing my arm to do now my upper arm is not glued to my side, right? Now my upper arm is moving all over the place, right? But now it's not. So that's what I mean by glue that upper arm to your side. The only joint moving is your elbow. Watch out for wrists. We want straight, strong wrists. So watch my wrists here for a moment. At the bottom of the movement, they are staying straight. This is what it would look like if they were bending. So we really want to avoid that. Okay. And yeah, avoid shrugging when the resistance is too hard. So if you have a band that's too hard for where you're at right now, you're going to need to compensate by like shrugging up those shoulders, maybe hunching the back. This is what would happen if the band was too hard and I just my triceps couldn't handle it. So go to the next band down so that you can do it properly. So if any of that weird stuff is happening that I just showed you, again, shoulders needing to shrug, or you're needing to round forward, I'll say it again, the band is too heavy for you, okay? You should be able to do it nice and smooth and steady like this without any any of that. So keep that in mind. Sometimes we have to check our egos when we're doing resistance training, right, to do it correctly. So band tricep pushdown. Next up, we have racked reverse lunges. That is a dumbbell in each hand. We want to keep the dumbbells flat, parallel to the floor at all times. So we want to avoid them tipping like this. So that is two things. That's making your wrists do this. Okay, that's one thing. But that's also keeping your elbows a little more forward and not back here. So keep those two things in mind. Then we do a reverse lunge. So the weights are at shoulder height, and the reverse lunge, stepping back, bending both knees, go as low as you're comfortable. So start small, maybe like this. And then as you get stronger or just more comfortable with the movement, you can work on getting lower. So we go over lunges a lot. So there's a lot to keep, a lot of balance involved with reverse lunges. So you might feel a little tippy. That's okay. Work on that. It'll come with getting stronger in practice. What we want to avoid though is simply stepping back like this. See how I'm stepping my leg back, but I'm not bending the knee? That's not a lunge. That's tapping your foot back. It's not engaging the muscles at all that a lunge is trying to target. Where when that happens is when you bend that back knee. I'm going to put the weights down just because talking and holding them for this long and all that is getting tiring on the shoulders. And the biggest safety thing for knee integrity, knee safety with lunges, and I know I say this every time we have lunges, so for those of you who have been with us for a while, I'm sorry, it's getting tedious, but it's so important, is that angle of your back foot. So watch my back foot from the front view. Well, I know when I go down, then you can't see it anymore, but it's staying nice and straight, right? As opposed to kind of like this angle, like this cocked out angle that puts, it just makes your ankle do a weird thing, and then that comes up to your knee and makes your kneecap do a weird thing, and it even can torque your hip weird. So maybe do this in front of a mirror, this station, but that's so important. And I think our bodies want to do that angle thing. They want to do this because when we put our foot perfectly forward, it's skinny, it's narrow. Well, when we turn it out to the side, it's now wide. And that wider base is going to feel easier on the balance. So I think that's why our bodies want to do that. And I think that's common. I think people agree in the fitness industry why that's when people are learning lunges, why that back foot kind of wants to do this. It's like, oh, I feel like I have a wider stabilized balance now. Ooh, and now I feel more tippy. Okay. So we don't want to do that though. We want to keep the ankle and the knee and the hip in alignment and safe. So work on that. Sometimes it's something you have to see visually because you can't really feel it. So I do suggest maybe doing this in front of a mirror to watch that back foot. If the weights are throwing you off at this time, do this body weight only. So just worry about the lunges right now. If these are either newer for you or you're still working on them, don't worry about the weights until you've mastered the lunge. That's the most important part. Then toss those weights into the equation. Last thing I'll toss in here for reminders is that we're not falling forward. Although if you have the weights, you almost can't. If you have the weights and you're tipping forward, I'm going to tell your coach to grab those weights right out of your hands because you are not ready for the weights. Just going to say it. If you're doing the racked version, those weights, your body has to be staying perfectly straight up and down because those weights need to be staying, what did I say before? Parallel to the ground. They cannot be tipping down like this. Okay? So all that said, I'll say these racked lunges are almost relatively an advanced type of move. So work on the lunges first. Master your racked position with the hands here and not here. And we can put it all together. Next station is a nice core exercise, shoulders too. A lot of stability. Stability ball, plank. Haven't done this for a while. Okay, I like to get on it this way. Putting one arm down first, then one leg, then other arm, and then that final leg back, that second leg back. That's just me. Everyone can get, you can also start kneeling like this in front of it, or I guess behind it. Kind of lay on it, and then pop up the knees. Everyone likes to get started on this one differently. Anyway, we just want to make sure that we're not laying on it with our chest, because this isn't doing anything. So your chest and stomach are off the ball. We're also not doing this with our hips up. This also isn't doing anything. So it's a normal plank. So it should be a relatively straight line from your head to your heels. Diagonal, but straight, you know. Okay, you can do this on knees. You might want to put a mat down for the cushioning of your knees, but if you're doing it on knees, again, it's not this, like with the butt out, because this isn't doing anything for your core, but watch my hips and my waist here. I'm gonna shift the ball forward, bring my hips down. Now it's a core exercise. Now I'm feeling the challenge in my core. So you can do, again, knees like this, a little more challenging up to the toes, and boom. You can press this ball into a wall if you are still kind of newer to the ball plank, because that wall will add some stability, but it's still giving you the chance to get used to the feel of the ball. So press it against the wall, pardon me, and now the wall is making it so it can't necessarily roll away, so you can't fall or anything, but you're still getting used to the, you're still getting used to the wobbliness and the squishiness of the ball. And of course, you can always do any of our other plank variations. You can take it to a standard floor plank if the ball isn't agreeing with you at all. You can take it to an incline plank with your elbows on a bench. Any of our normal plank variations. So try the ball. It's at one of the more advanced kinds of planks, and other options are available for you. All right, the last station, another one where we don't need any equipment except your punching arms. We're not going to punch anybody, however. We're going to do some speed bag, which is just great for the arms, shoulders, chest, core, and some cardio. So speed bag is kind of like, anyone has seen boxers work on that speed bag that hangs down. We're also not going to actually hit a speed bag, but we're going to take the arms and just go around like this. That's already pretty challenging. Don't clock yourself in your own face, please. I don't want to hear about anyone having hit their own chin. I've never actually seen that happen or heard about it happening, so don't worry. We typically tend to get our own faces out of the way. So it's called a 4-corner speed bag. So picture a box kind of in front of you, and we're going to go as fast as you can with the arms. So try not to go slow, because we're going to go fast. Over to this corner, a few seconds. Over to this corner, then down to this corner, and down to this corner. Up, over, down, over. And you're just counting your own, 2 seconds in each corner, kind of counting your own. If your arms are getting super annoyed with one direction, stop, and then go the other direction. It does kind of feel nice to sort of reset the direction the arms are going. Even though they're doing the same thing, it just feels kind of nice to pause for a moment and then go the other way. You're going to feel, after 20 or so seconds, you're going to feel the biceps a lot because you're contracting your arms to try to control that speed. Probably the shoulders. And one thing, granted, we're not like going to be doing actual like boxing. We're not going to be doing that. But I do, unless you want to, I do want you to be kind of light on your feet. So don't be like hard-footed, like, I want you to be kind of light on your feet. So like you're over on this side, then you move your hips when you come over to the other side. Come down here, and then move your hips when you come over here. So kind of get into it. That's gonna get the full body effect that we want out of this. I want your heart rate to be a little elevated by the end of especially the 45-second round. It should be. And if it's not, probably didn't go fast enough with the arms. And it does take some practice, however. This is a very strange feel if it's something that's new for you. But again, we're trying to go fast with those arms going around. Okay? It's gonna be fun. I know Susan's had a lot of practice with speed bag back when we did our boot camp back in the day. So anyways, 4-corner speed bag. It'll be a lot of fun. All right, everybody, team builder. Everyone's going to be in a straight line, laterally. So my next fellow defier would be like an arm's length away to my side, and then another one would be an arm's length away to this side. It's really hard to show a team thing when I'm by myself. And we're gonna do a lateral medicine ball toss. So the coaches will set the clock for 30 seconds or a minute or however much time you have. You can do maybe one full 1 minute set, maybe 2 30-second sets, however your coach wants to do this. And you're gonna do a lateral toss. Make sure you're far enough away from the person. So I do want you to put some distance. So don't have the next person be like right here, because that's not, so I want to be able to have an actual toss where you toss it. Well, we're working on this lateral movement, because when you catch it, you'll be catching it like this and then releasing it like this. So try to watch my feet. Try to get some like pivoting with your feet in. Okay? And when you get to the end people, when you catch it, still do this, but just don't let it go, and then release it back. So again, still do the twist like you did have someone to your side. Just don't let it go, and then start going back down the other way. So the end people have a little different scenario. But we're just going to keep going down and back. Add some speed. See how many times you can get down and back the line in the time frame that your coach designates. But again, I don't have anyone here to my side, but it would look kind of like that. So, but that's our team builder medicine ball, lateral medicine ball toss. Okay, and that is our week 13. Couple of new things, couple of more advanced things. Of course, we always have options though, so don't let that scare you away. There's options for everybody, but we always do want to be tossing in some progressions for those who are ready to make those progressions. So anyways, I hope everyone enjoys week 13. See you back next week.